So this, what we were watching, was the final stages of the Argentina's presidential debate. We are still joined by Pablo Malizzia, social communicator and journalist. We are analyzing the main topics that were covered during this debate. In this second instance, the candidates were talking about labor and production, security, and human rights and democratic coexistence. Pablo, how did you see the candidates during these topics? Any highlights to point out?
I think that once again, as we saw in the first part of the debate, this was we saw Milei very lost in his beliefs and confused and hesitating. He was not able to even to score in those topics that he is supposed to be stronger. He was with no answers, hesitating, and he, in some topics, showed a very deep ignorance of very important issues. Uh, in a moment, Massa pointed him that his economical
Program.
proposals were closer to Martinez de Oz than to neoliberalism, which goes back to the dictatorship, and that was very strong for Massa to say.
Right,
Sorry,
and I'm sorry. Continue, Pablo.
Oh no, and the other topic that was very important for Argentinians was the Malvinas issue. When Massa pointed him that Milei said before that one of his idols or mentors or models to follow was Margaret Thatcher, who during the Malvinas War, Falkland War for the British people, she ordered to sink the Belgrano, which was an act of criminal war. So he was defending a person that made a criminal act of war against Argentina, and that was another highlight point in which I think that Milei is going to, after this debate, is going to find very hard to keep his own votes, because he showed himself hesitated, not prepared. He was even childish in some of his interventions or his answers, and he just threw a lot of numbers to the air without the possibility to check if they were right or wrong. And I think that this debate is going to be very important for the next election, because a lot of people who were with doubts in their votes are going to realize that there is one candidate who has the strength of spirit required to sail the ship in this storm.
Yes, and definitely, as you were saying and we were pointing out before this second round, Massa is continuing this strategy of trying to push Milei to some of these more controversial topics, definitely putting him on the fence with his first voters, so to speak, his hardcore voters and the voters he's trying to appeal in his run to the runoff. And for example, in the first topic of labor and production, he also made Milei repeat once again the idea that the gender gap is in existence and it's a false thing. This is something that Milei had said prior in the last debate. As you were saying, he repeated almost the same thing again. And of course, Massa got his way. He got Milei to say this again, and this again will probably have a very big backlash. So definitely, he's forcing him into these positions, which are probably going to deter new voters, right?
Yes, I think that Massa was the one who established the playground and the rules. And Milei was not able to get out of that kind of trap in a way, because actually he was trapped by his own words. So, but as Milei is not used to go to interviews where they re-question him after he gives an answer. So when once Massa went back once again, answer yes or no, answer yes or no, answer yes or no, he had to say yes or no, but he was trying to hide that information. I mean, Massa forced him to say in television in front of everybody the things that he wanted to hide, actually.
Exactly.
So I think that I saw it called my attention how lost Milei seemed, even in the topics that he was supposed to be stronger. It was hilarious. In a certain moment, in a certain point, Milei said, "Well, I have nothing else to say. I give you the word. So keep talking." He didn't know what to do with the time. He didn't have any proposals or anything else to say about the topic. I mean, that was very, very unusual, and he showed a very deep ignorance in how the state works, how the mechanism of state works. When he said that, he said that, for example, when he said that the state should be out of the import-export trading. The private sector can do it on their own. No way. I mean, first there are
agreements, bilateral agreements,
security, health agreements. There are a lot of things in which the states have to be need a previous agree in order for the privates to do the business later. So he had to, Milei had to recognize in a way that he had lied before. And that is very important, because when he had no options and he had to say yes or no, in that moment he showed, well, so you were lying before, or you are lying now. So, and he had no answer to that point. So I think that this debate is going to be as no other presidential debate that I recall, important in this election, especially because there is a large amount of people who were supporting Patricia Bullrich in the first round, but they didn't actually belong to her party. You know, they belong to other parties forming the coalition. So for those voters to see the place that Milei, the way that he was not able to hold his own ideas, I think this is going to be very, very determinative for their final vote.
Exactly. Let's recall for our viewers that out of the three main forces that were heading to the primary and then went to the first round, the one that did not make it to the runoff was Together for Change. And as you were saying, the main leaders up to this point of Together for Change, former President Mauricio Macri and candidate Patricia Bullrich, showed a full support of Milei, but however, not the complete coalition has aligned with Milei's presidency, and those are the votes. Most of them, or some of them, an important part of them, also showed themselves definitely against the possible presidency of Javier Milei. So definitely those are the votes that are at stake now. And another thing that Milei kept...
And especially what we call here the barefoot voters, you know, the ones that
Exactly.
they feel closer to Together for the Change coalition, let's say, but they are not part of the main leaders, you know. So down there, the next door voter who perhaps voted for them, now he's saying, well, if you are willing me to vote for this lunatic, then I am not going to do it. I'm not going to vote for this.
Exactly. And one of the repeated topics again was the bid against the political caste. And once again, the thing is, how long will Javier Milei will be able to maintain this this argument against the political caste, as he calls it, when he is one step one step closer to the presidency himself. That is what he is aiming for, and he has the support now of very important sectors of the politics. So that is another front in which he is sort of against the fence. So we are going now back to Buenos Aires because the candidates are now about to make their final statements before this